Hey guys, Austin here. Welcome to the video. Excited to have you here on my channel. I read one business book per day, Monday through Friday. And the reason why I make these videos is because it helps me digest and understand the concepts that I'm reading in these books more when I'm able to talk about them on a video. So thank you so much for being here today. I do hope that something that we talk about today will help spark you to go out there and make an improvement in your life. So the book that we're reading today is a book called Who by someone named Geoff Smart. And this book is all about hiring. And real quick before I hop into it, sometimes you'll notice that I have a physical hardcover of the book here with me when I'm making these videos, and sometimes I don't. I just want to let you know that I have some of my books in physical book, audiobook, and then also in just like ebook, like an iBook that's on your iPhone. And so this book is an ebook, and I also have it in an audio version as well. Therefore, I don't have a physical copy to show you today, but I just wanted to make that clear. But this book is all about hiring, and because it's all about hiring, therefore, it's also about getting hired too, if we reverse engineer it. And so whether you're looking to make a hire or whether you're looking to get hired, aka maybe get a new job, maybe get a new client, this book is going to have a lot of valuable insights and things to consider when it comes to either making a hire or getting hired, right? And so there's 7 key takeaways that we're going to be talking about. And so let's go ahead and jump into the first one. And the first one is to avoid voodoo hiring methods. So basically, don't rely on things like gut instincts, aggressive questioning, or gimmicks. And this is what Geoff Smart is telling us to do based on all the studies that they did and the work that they put into the book. He's telling us not to just rely on our gut instincts, not to do like aggressive questioning or use gimmicks, right? Like tricky tactics that sound cool or that we read about online, because this stuff just doesn't work. Structured and disciplined hiring processes are more effective. And so let's break that down for a second. If you are trying to make a hire, it's going to be more effective to come in with a structured and a disciplined approach instead of just winging it and trying to use, gimmicks when you're making a hire. Now, if you are looking to get hired and you go in for an interview and you notice that the employer or whoever it is they're using these tactics, they're kind of being gimmicky, they're using aggressive questioning, you can kind of tell that there's no process, there's no system behind the methods that they're using when they're interviewing you to work for them. This is how you can identify, potentially, it's a little convoluted, but this is one way that you can start to identify whether you are applying to work at a good company or a not so good company. Because everything that is talked about in this book, in Who by Geoff Smart, the way that he talks about the structure for the hiring process, if they are following similar methods to what is taught in this book, you will know that you are dealing with a professional company. Now, if you go in there and it seems like they don't really have any systems put together, they're using, gimmicky things, they're telling you to sell them this pencil or sell them this pen, right? Because that's like a thing from like the Wolf of Wall Street or whatever. That's going to be a key indicator that you're applying to work with a company that is not as professional. Does that mean that you should not work with them? Not necessarily, right? It could be a key indicator that maybe it's not somewhere where you want to work, but it's nice to know the type of company that you're applying to work with. And maybe if that job doesn't work out for you, you might say to yourself, okay, well, I didn't really get a good feeling about them in the hiring process anyways. It didn't seem like they had their stuff together. Maybe I dodged a bullet. So those are some of the things to consider whether you're looking to get hired or looking whether to hire. Now, the next one is to define, number 2 is to define clear mission and outcomes. And one of the things that they talked about in the book was using scorecards to describe the mission, outcomes, and competencies required for the role. And they would keep these scorecards, right? They would keep them, and they would like tally them up on the different things that they would basically be questioning them on and quizzing them on. And they would take those scorecards at the end and they would use them to help identify who kind of worked in all the different categories that they were questioning them on. Because you might have an A player that is really good in one side, maybe it's people skills, but they might not be so good on the operational side, right, with running the systems and stuff. And so therefore they might have a high score over here, but not as high of a score here. And so they were talking about how you would keep scorecards as you're going through and you're interviewing potential candidates for the role. And that would be how, you keep track of who's probably going to be a better fit than another person, right? And so, that's pretty much going to just apply to if you're looking to make a hire. If you're looking to get hired and you notice that they have a scorecard there and that they're, being clear about what their mission is, what the outcomes are that they're looking for in a role. They were very specific about that in the book. When you're looking to hire someone, you want to be very specific about what's the mission that you guys are on. What are the specific outcomes? I want you to help this company get these results by this time period. It's very specific, the specific outcomes that they're looking for, right? And then the competencies that are required. If you're getting interviewed by a company and you notice that they have a scorecard and they're being very clear about what their mission is, what the outcomes are that they want you to do, and what what's required to do the job, and it's very clear, you as a hiree, these are going to be clear indicators that you again are being interviewed by a professional group, and you probably want to try really hard to get that job. Okay, so that's number 2. Number 3 is to focus on cultural fits. There were several examples in the book where they found people that were A players, right? If you're looking to hire, they found people that are A players, but when they hired them and they weren't a cultural fit, they always, pretty much, I think every example in the book, it ended in a disaster. It just didn't end up working out. And because they would get somebody that, checked all the boxes, was a really good, employee and did everything really well, but they weren't a good cultural fit. So they rubbed the employees the wrong way. They upset a lot of people. It kind of made a lot of people want to quit because the culture wasn't the same. And so what ended up happening, there was one example specifically in the book, and it talked about it. It was like, okay, well, they identified that the CEO that they had hired for the role and the employees, it just wasn't working out. Like, this was a great, CEO, but it wasn't a good cultural fit. Well, they let the CEO go, it was the executive go, and they put someone in there, and it worked out great for both parties. The company was able to restore its culture, and the CEO went on to work at a different company and did extremely well there. So we don't want to, when we're making a hire, we don't want to overlook a really solid candidate for somebody that doesn't fit in with what the culture is of our business. Okay, and then so the other thing is that if you're getting interviewed to be hired at a company, you want to just be aware when you're talking to the people that are interviewing you, when you're looking at the offices or wherever the business operates, does it seem like you are going to be a good fit for their culture? Because that's going to give you a little bit of an indicator whether or not you should continue to pursue that job. Because you might come into a place where it's like, I saw the people, I talked to them, I have a couple connections there, and I don't know if my personality and the way that I operate in the workplace is going to be kind of a match with that. Well, you may want to pull yourself out of that application process and not continue to pursue it and waste your time and their time, right? So that's what you can be thinking of when you are a hiree looking to potentially get hired. Now, the next one, and I'll kind of paraphrase this a little bit here, but number 4 is to use referrals from networks. And they talk about leveraging professional and personal networks to find potential candidates when you're looking to make a hire, and the fact that referrals often lead to better hiring outcomes, right? So they, because they come recommended from somebody that's either already in the business or somebody that you're close with or whatever, they usually end up staying for longer and doing better because of that initial recommendation. But one of the things that was kind of a really key point in this book is that connections are everything and referrals are everything. And the key thing was that A players know other A players. And so, for example, if you were looking to hire somebody and they were an A player, Not only is it a benefit if you can get them to hire, because a lot of times A players have multiple options. So they might not just want to work for your company. They may have offers from other companies that they're considering as well too. And you all would be competing for that person to work. And if you can get them to work with you at your company, that would be a huge win for this point specifically, because that A player probably knows other A players, and therefore you get access to their network and their connections. Especially if you treat them good and you give them a great work environment and you guys are doing great work, that's going to help out because they'll connect you with the other people that they know, and that will make your company better. Because if you can hire the best of the best talent, that's really the whole thesis of the book. I probably should have started with that. You know, you don't have I think the subtitle was like, you don't have a what do I do problem, you have a who do I hire problem. AKA, you know, the higher quality people that you have working at your company, the better your company is going to do, because high quality people, they're going to run the game anyway. They're going to run the show anyway. They're going to grow your business naturally, because that's what A players do. Okay, and so that's another thing too for consideration if you're looking to get hired, if you're looking to get into a company, is that you got to be looking around at your connections right now. Are you networking and connecting with people that are other A players, right? And that's okay if you're not, because there's another point that goes alongside with that, is that you want to treat everyone extremely well, because you never know what's going to happen down the road, and you never know what person you're going to run into at a company when you're trying to get hired, and how that relationship may come into play, and it might affect you potentially negatively if you don't have a positive relationship with that person, right? And so this is kind of what they talk about in the book. So no matter where you are today, whether you're not where you want to be, whether you're doing extremely well and you're at the top of your game, you want to treat people extremely well, because you never know what's going to happen down the road. And if you are just in the habit of being an amazing, incredible, kind person, and you're constantly putting out great work, you're constantly lifting other people up, you're constantly not taking all the credit for yourself, but instead giving the credit to other people, those relationships are going to be so strong, and they will come to help you down the road. It's just a matter of when, and we don't know when, and we don't know who. That's the problem. So that's why, I mean, you know, besides for the fact that we should just be like that anyways, this is an extra bonus for being like that, okay? So that's number 4, which was to use referrals from networks. Number 5 is to hire for specific talent. So when we're hiring, we want to avoid generalists. And this is very hard depending on what stage we're at in our business, because, you know, if we can hire somebody that can do like 3 or 4 or 5 jobs, that naturally seems like the way that we want to go. But what happens when we hire generalists that have multiple tasks that they're trying to do, and I just know because I've hired some people before, and I've had them, and I've, you know, because I didn't know what I was doing in my business, I had them do tasks that were like too many tasks. I had them doing way too many things. They were spread way too thin. They couldn't do anything well, and it was completely my fault, because I had them doing things that, you know, they were just had too much stuff going on. And so when we're hiring, they're telling us in the book, Geoff Smart is telling us in this book, that we want to hire for a very specific role and situation. We don't want to just hire a specialist or a generalist. We want to hire specialists that are going to come in and perform a very specific role in a company. And so on the flip side of that, I love this book because it's all about hiring, but it's also about getting hired as well too when we reverse engineer it, right? So when we reverse engineer that, that means that we don't want to be generalists ourselves. It's good to have a solid, strong understanding of pretty much everything, right? We want to be strong, have a nice solid foundation. But we also want to have some things that we specialize in and that we know insane amounts of things. One of the things that I know a lot about is email marketing. That was one of the things that I've spent a lot of time doing. I've also spent a lot of time working on code and web development and stuff like that. So those are a couple of things that I specialize in, right? But, you know, I love this because it means if you have something that you have a passion for, something that you're already doing a lot of, go even deeper on that is what the point is here. Continue to work on your craft. Continue to master what it is that you do, because good people that are looking to hire, They are not looking for generalists, they're looking for specialists. So the more that you can be a specialist, especially if you're in something that's in high demand, you're going to be a very, very valuable thing to the company, and it's going to make you have lots of different options, and it's going to, you're going to get to pick whatever it is that you want, right? So hire for specific talents. Don't be a generalist, be a specialist. Setting high standards. So we want to aim to hire A players when we're hiring. We don't want to hire somebody. This is where the scorecards kind of came into play in the book. We don't want to just hire somebody that is going to do an okay job or kind of barely checks the boxes. We want to be interviewing a lot of people, and we want to hire people that are going to knock it out of the park. They are going to do so well that it is no question that they are 100% an A player. We want to hire talent that is that good. And so in the book, they were talking about candidates who have at least a 90% chance of achieving top outcomes, and that's kind of where the scorecards came into play, where they were ranking the different people in the different categories for whatever the role was that they were hiring for. Okay, and so that also, if we flip that around and we're looking to get hired, and we know that top hirers, right, top employers, they're looking to hire A players, that means we need to be A players. That means that no matter what job you're in, I don't care, if one of my first jobs was working at Pizza Hut. I don't care if you're working at Pizza Hut. Do that job so extremely well that everyone around you respects you, looks up to you, asks you for help, asks you for tips, and promotes you, right? So if we can aim to have extremely high standards for ourselves, therefore, when we're going out into the marketplace and we're looking to get hired, and because when we've had little, we've been trusted with little, and we've done extremely well with it, and we took it seriously, even though maybe it wasn't where we wanted to be or something that we considered that great, doesn't matter. We treated it extremely well and took it very seriously. That means when the next opportunity comes around, and we don't know when it's going to come around, but it will come, we're ready, because they see what we've done with little, and therefore they know we can be trusted with a lot. So we want to set high standards when we're hiring, and then we also want to set high standards for ourselves so that we can get hired. Okay, and then the last tip here, tip number 7, is to evaluate track records. And just to summarize this, it's that people, when they get hired, they're basically going to do the same level of work, achieve the same type of things that they did at the last place. So if they were working at an old company and they didn't really do anything, they're probably not going to do anything when they work for you. If they worked at a company and they crushed it and nailed it and did everything amazing, they're going to crush it and nail it for you. So the past track record is a very important thing. So again, that goes back to the last point. If you're looking to get hired, what does that mean? If you're being trusted with a little, knock it out of the park, because as soon as the opportunity comes up, you can do something that's a little bit better, take that opportunity, knock it out of the park, do extremely well, no matter how little it seems. I don't care what the job is. And soon, if you can be trusted with a little, you'll be able to be trusted with a lot. So guys, this is all the wisdom is coming from Geoff Smart, the author of this book called Who. If you want more information about hiring or getting hired, I highly recommend you pick up a copy. And I just want to say thank you guys so much for checking out this video, and I look forward to seeing you guys in the next one.